All right, all right. Hello, everyone. How are we feeling today? What's up, Art Nerd? What's up, Junie? What's up, Eidolon? What's up, Cindy? Hey, Noxel. Nice to see a lot of the usuals here. Hey, Arson and Ajax. What's up, Josta Music? First time chatter here. I see you've joined the raffle already. Today is Feedback Friday, so we are going to be listening to what you guys are cooking in the kitchen. What are you cooking? What kind of ingredients? Are they organic? Are they heavily processed? I'm expecting a lot of heavily processed music today. All right, let's take a look at what we are working with here. I can pretty much start the raffle right away. Or wait, Art Nerd, I'm gonna take you out of the giveaway. I'm guessing, right? You said you don't actually have. I do not have a track to share, which means I'll probably get rid of your name. Please remove me. Okay. Cool. So, let's get into it. Let's just start rolling the ball. There's no reason to beat around the bush and listen to me play a bunch of jazz chords. Okay. So let me do a little fanfare song here. We're gonna get to the first winner. Okay, I'm Vice. Followed 6 years ago. Nice. How are you doing? Do you have a song for us to listen to? Which, by the way, I should specify. I tend to prefer just private SoundCloud links. You do. Amazing. Let's get it started. Oh, that's fine if it's public. No worries. So this is already released. Do you want me to give you feedback as if you were going to take it into account? Or... Well, let's just listen to it. If I have thoughts, I'll share them. Okay, this is Waterflame by... Oh, Radio Cutter by Waterflame. Mid-Fidelity Remix. Got kind of a grungy hip-hop vibe going. Kind of like 90 BPM or so. A minor. Curious about the original. Oh. Getting smooth now. Very cool. So this is obviously already live, released, posted, however you want to say it. So a little different than critiquing something that has yet to be released. But I'll just share some thoughts on this. First of all, I like the vibe. It is interesting how it switches from kind of like something more funky to something very, very much like more on the smoother side. Like I was curious to see which route you were going to take with it. It felt even though it kind of morphed from something like a little bit grungier and funkier to something a bit smoother, more like jazz R&B-ish, like about halfway through, still felt pretty consistent overall. I think it would have been nice for there to be a little bit more structure to the song. Not really a big issue, but you started it with this like that. Maybe that's from the original. I'm not sure because I don't know the original, but it's a cool sound. It's a very catchy riff. It would have been cool to have some kind of throwback to that at some point in the song. Yeah. Another thing I noticed is that there's some cool chords going on, but some of the arrangement of those chords is slightly confusing. So everything in the beginning sounds great. It kind of reminds me actually of this Grizz track that I really like. I think it's called Gutter Punk. Hold on. Whoops. Let's see, Grizz Gutter something. Gutter, or is it? Now I'm kind of doubting myself. It's not that old. It's let's take a quick look, cause damn, he releases a lot of music though. So this might take a second to find. Knuckle Puck, that's what it's called. Yeah, this track. Right.
Hit the flow. I cannonball screaming Geronimo. Then I hit him with the stun and stone cold. Call me Sonic 'cause I'm on the road.
Yo. Hex Benjamin, thank you so much for the sub. Which, by the way, I should clarify, there's no higher chance of winning a raffle for us to listen to your songs. Whether you're a viewer, subscriber, or follower, or anything, it's all basically the same. But thank you regardless, and I appreciate it. So I was thinking you were kind of going to take it that route. Thank you, Munelol, for the follow. I thought you were going to kind of go that direction, and then you kind of went into this really smooth section here, which I liked a lot. Where is it? Yeah, right here. Like that chord right there, for example. So generally, I caught on to what chords were going on here. It's kind of like A minor, E minor, D minor 9 something, A minor 7, and then it's like E minor, and then some kind of altered E. Sometimes the arrangement of the notes is a little unusual, like that chord, like that note there. It's the A minor, and then instead of like a 7, you have, I think it's a 6. What's it? Yeah, you have that. The voice leading is kind of like emphasizing that minor 6 which is like normally not what you want to go for, but not a huge deal. Yeah. There it is again, that minor 6th. I'm not a huge fan of it personally, but not a huge problem, like I said. I like that chromatic movement there. Anyways, so cool track overall. I think yeah, that's pretty much all I got. I think like it feels funky and smooth. It feels like a little more like an an exploration of some different chords and sounds in this general kind of like funky jazz world. And yeah, I love it. And again, I don't know the original, so kind of judging it from just like as a standalone kind of thing. Damn, wish I could jam like you. Hey, anybody can do it if I can do it. I should be way better than I am, considering I've been playing like over 20 years. But let's roll on to the next. Thanks for sharing. I'm Vice. What's up, Noxel? Good to see you back here. What you got for us today? This is an old track. All right, let's check it out. So also it looks like this one's released already, since it's public. But same as before, just kind of share my thoughts anyways. So our D flat minor. I like those harps. Harps and arps. Kinda got like an opio feel right now. Cool. Okay. Bit more relaxing than I was expecting. Alright, where we go next? Got kind of like this 80s kind of drum beat vibe going on. Very cool. I always love jamming to your stuff. And I love listening to it too. I think it's a really unique combination of elements. I feel like kind of like I guess some, I'm not really great at referencing specific like video game OSTs, but I could definitely see it being inspired by just video game OSTs. I guess I wouldn't know which ones in particular to shout out, but it's kind of got that flavor matched with some like kind of like 80s style drum programming, and in some parts it's more of a four to the floor that's like a little bit more of a more of a modern feel, I guess, compared to the other sections. Like you have like this here, like that. Like this stuff is reminding me more of like Oliver and Opio and that kind of stuff. And then you have this drum beat, which is kind of like a little bit of a different vibe there. But yeah, it's a cool tune. I think I'm trying to think of what to focus on in terms of like feedback, or like maybe more specific critique. But in my mind, I can't really. I think I'm having a hard time knowing what to compare it to, or how to know what your goal was, because if I were to judge it through the lens of kind of like more of an electronic music perspective, I would have some ideas. Again, comparing it to maybe like Opio or Oliver or something along those lines, I think I would have some thoughts. But it kind of is only in that world, in my eyes, for like the first minute or so. And then it transitions into like this kind of very different style, rhythmically, and kind of like the feeling and such. So I'm not sure if it makes sense to think of it from that perspective. What do you think can be improved? Well, I guess if I were to take a stab at, boiling down, I think simplifying what it is exactly that is the core of the song would be really helpful, because right now there's kind of like there are a lot of different great moments that flow well into each other. But I think that structure could be a really big help, and like knowing, what is the most, let's say, exciting or interesting parts of the song. There's some melodic elements. I think there's, for example, something like that. Like that melody is I thought was very memorable. You also have like this kind of like drone intro thing which creates a lot of with the ARP and stuff, it creates a lot of tension. And that little sample you have going in the background, I love that. It's really cool. I hear it in the outro again briefly. Well, it may not be a sample, it could be a sample library, but one way or another, that's really cool. I think I'm a little more biased towards four to the floor stuff, so I was kind of like hoping to hear something like that, which would kind of like make it a little more aggressive, I guess, and but that's the thing, is like there's obviously nothing wrong with the direction you took with the track. I was kind of like, in my mind, this kind of minute of anticipation was building towards something a bit heavier, versus what we got. So like, I could almost hear something kind of like a almost kind of res like happening there, because this is kind of like in that tempo, but obviously very different sound than what happens here. So that's just where my brain is taking it, and yeah, So I guess, again, if I were to kind of have some suggestions, it would probably be more along the lines of, doesn't have to be, wouldn't have, how am I supposed to say this? Because it's like, if you were to rework the song and re-release it or something, it's not so much that you have to take it that route. It's more just that I think that it would be nice to have bigger signs as a listener to feel like, oh, this is like the core, the main part of the song. And I think that's something a bit more climactic. Doesn't have to be like this Res style drop here, but something a bit more climactic would be nice as well. I feel like as a listener, that feels like there's a lot of tension being built up for that first minute, and it turns into something a bit kind of like a bit softer than anticipated. But anyways, that's kind of all I've got. I think other than that, I would have probably more thoughts if you were to say like, oh, I know for sure that is a style that would be fun for me to kind of emulate, and then it'd be easier for me to be like, oh, okay, well here's how I can compare your song to something like that. But it's not all about comparisons, right? We all have our own sounds and our own our approach to creating and our own priorities. So, take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt, right? I don't know exactly what it is that inspires you and what you're trying to create. So, either way, those are some thoughts that I thought I'd share. Do you think I could easily take a more dance-like direction with this tune? Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I'll pull up something right now. I can just search up Res, and there's a track that I really liked of hers. Who is it with? I don't remember when it was released either, I'm not going to lie. It was a collab with... What's it, 1770L? Is that the artist name? Damn, I can't remember. So much. Damn, man. I don't release anything compared to other artists, I guess. Let's see. I don't know if... Well, either way. Res has tons of music. That's probably a good reference point for something like somewhat in that tempo. But it could be too heavy too. So anyways, let's keep rolling and check out the next winner. But thanks again for coming through and sharing your work, Noxel. I really, really appreciate it. You've always got some good composition and melodies and very smooth tracks. Of course. Hex Benjamin, what's going on? Saw you had just subbed not too long ago. I warned you in advance, Mr. Piano Man, F harmonic minor, but sharp by 11 cents. Hey, I was probably gonna notice that pretty quickly, so I'll stay away from jamming on this one then. So let's check it out. This is Hex Benjamin, Sudden Death.
Hex.
So this looks like it came out yesterday. Congrats on the release. Okay. Cool. Actually, 11 cents is close enough. Very cool. I like it a lot. It's a very unique, getting a very unique vibe going. I don't really have much to suggest. I'm thinking like, the structure makes sense. Let me take a quick check at the intro again. So, one thing that could be cool is if that's your tag, it would be cool for you to kind of manipulate the vocal in a way that kind of blends it in a creative, like, sound design fashion into the beginning of the song. You could do some like granular synthesis. I feel like actually Haywyre Bust is really good at doing creative stuff like that, but I haven't listened to his music in a while. I don't know what his latest output has been like, but yeah, I mean, even just like throwing that into like an Ableton sampler and like repeating like the whole thing, like, and then slowly kind of creating a shorter and shorter loop section of that audio bit, and then I don't know, playing with it from there and building it into this intro could be cool. I'm thinking a little bit about your other like structure decisions here in the intro, because it almost feels like you have two intros. So it feels kind of like you have like this kind of like kind of like in the background. And then that fill there almost makes it feel like, oh, something's going to happen, which kind of does, but it then leads into another different intro almost. Just interesting. Let me go back to that melody. I almost like what I'm thinking about in my mind is like, is it worth having this brief little moment where you have sub and like kind of like a bit more of a full spectrum thing going on here. Is it worth it? I'm not 100% sure because it might take away a little bit from the impact here. I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking about it. Because it obviously helps drive the track forward. But I don't know. I hear a lot of really great EDM tunes that don't even give away any like truly full spectrum moments where like the whole frequency spectrum is going at it until the first drop, or like whatever the moment is that you want to call attention to, which to me kind of feels like it's this section here. It's just something I'm thinking about, is like the structure, I guess. A lot of cool sounds though, cool fills, and the mixes sounded pretty good. This synth sounds a little mono to me. It'd be nice if it was kind of like a bit like wider. I like that there's piano in there, for obvious reasons. Yeah, that's kind of like the only thing is kind of like the structure that, of the song. The arrangement could have maybe been slightly different, but yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm just trying to find things to nitpick. I like the track a lot. It's really unique. But yeah, thanks for sharing that. Let's go on to the next one. Hope you come back and share some more stuff with us, Hex Benjamin. What's up, Josta Music? How's it going? You got something for us to listen to? Yes, sorry, stream was lagging. No worries. Hopefully that's nothing from my end. I think my bitrate is doing okay at the moment. Cool. Let's check this out. This is Josta, So Much for Hoping.
You force my hand in one fell swoop. You kill my plans. So much for hoping.
Nice sounds, nice singing.
I fall into the basin, heavy side don't show. So much for knowing. You force my hand in one fell swoop. You kill my plans. So much for hoping.
Triplet feel. hearing some like Lido influence maybe. And Galimatias. Very cool. Is that your voice, by the way? Sounds great. Beautiful. It's a splice sample. Got it. Okay. Yeah, really beautiful song. I like the idea a lot. I'm trying to think about how to approach giving feedback on this. I can see it's a year old and it's published. First of all, I like the structure a lot. A lot of like really beautiful textures right off the bat. Chords are really beautiful. Everything feels, kind of majestic and kind of like uplifting and kind of a very beautiful. The beginning was almost giving me some like Casbo vibes, maybe like with the vocal also like almost a little Charlie Puothy. Even if the vocal is a splice sample, I do think that the way you worked it into your track is really nice. It's a lot of different ways people could flip that, and I think the way it works in your song is great. First time hearing it, so I think the biggest thing that I'm having an issue with in the song is honestly this section right here. I think that I think the reason it's not because of like a sound design or mix really, although like, you could probably nitpick there a little bit. I think it's because well, let me think about how to phrase this. I think everything up until this point it flows in a really well. Okay, so I'm listening to this on my IEMs, so obviously I'm thinking of it more of a close listening perspective, not just kind of like a played in the background type of way, right? So from that perspective, this probably isn't an issue, but I think it's just a tad oversimplified, this section. I totally get what you're doing here, and like drawing attention to something more minimal is awesome. It's a great way to create some variety in the structure of this of the track. I just think like just one or two more elements there would have been really nice. Like it's an intentional departure. It's you're introducing kind of like this kind of more gritty plucked synth, bass synth, and you're making it a bit more minimal, and it's switching things up, which is great. I still feel like I don't know, some other elements that kind of match that vibe switch would be really cool. And maybe there's even a way to use like a layer or some kind of sound that's in the rest of the song, kind of incorporate it. It just feels like it's almost too much of a different thing without taking the rest of the song into account. And it's not necessarily automatically a bad thing. I'm just kind of saying, like, some kind of octave guitar strums with some I hear there's elements going on for sure. Obviously, like, as this section progresses, like, you have stuff going on, so I'm not ignoring that. I guess I'm more so thinking about that initial groove. But it's such a short moment where it's that isolated. Just kind of like those the drums, that bass line. I mean, there's the vocal sample in the background, which is helping that section a lot. But yeah, anyways, just some food for thought. I think that, like, maybe even some more foreshadowing would have been cool too. So, like, also, by the way, I forgot to mention this. This section is so cool. Where is it? Starting. This really caught my attention. It's starting right here. So here's a thought. For example, that section is obviously I said I liked it a lot. So the voice leading is kind of like the bum bum, like, what if that was kind of incorporated into this section instead, right? So, like, that would make a lot of sense to me, because I'm kind of like finding myself thinking like that's kind of one of the main parts rhythmically and melodically that caught my attention, and it's just something random I'm throwing out there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Regardless, I'm just trying to find things that could have maybe helped or improved the song in some way in my eyes. But regardless, the way it is right now is really cool. So either way, thanks for sharing that. That was really dope. Thanks, Josta. All right, we're on to the next one. What's up, Big D63? Do you have a song for us to listen to, sir? Or ma'am? Or anything in between? We might have to move on here if we reach the minute marker and we don't hear from our dog, Big D. All right, let's keep moving. We'll come back to you if you come back into the stream. Ragas Music, what's going on? You got something for us? You have won the next raffle. Hi. All right, we got something. It's a Google Drive link. as a first. Let's check it out. It looks like this is called Scrap Line. I'm just gonna preliminarily turn this down in case it's really loud. All right. Getting some like old school trap vibes here. Boozy. Okay. I think I see what you're going for here. Thinking of a particular artist that this is reminding me of, but yeah, I'm definitely getting some. I'm trying to think of like which artist comes to mind beyond who I was initially thinking of. I think like maybe Milo and Otis or something like that. Cool. Yeah, I get the idea. It's a cool track. I think you mind me asking if it's pretty fair to say that you're kind of going like the trap route here, right? Like EDM trap. So how long have you been producing? Just out of curiosity. I think you got a good track here. There are some things that I think could help kind of just improve a few notches. I think the first thought I have is like it could be really helpful to have a particular reference track. That's why I was gonna try to start searching up. I haven't really listened to much trap lately, but like I don't know. Maybe I don't know if Milo and Otis is really that good of an example. I don't know what they're making these days, or if they are still making anything. This is all 8 years ago. But that era of trap, I feel like, is kind of what this is reminding me of. I'm trying to think who else could be a fair to 7, 8 years. Gotcha. Okay, word. Yeah, so I think one thought I had is that, you know, you have the this intro going on right here. And then I think right here, right here is like this that kind of a pretty interesting sounding like synth sound that is kind of like acting like a bass riff, something like that, and it kind of comes a little bit out of nowhere. I think it would be nice. Like to me, that sound design sounds like it could be, and it is kind of like a really central part of your idea. So I think it could be cool to have a little bit more of a build up leading into that. So for that to pop in like 15 seconds into the track might be a bit soon, but I mean, who knows? These days, people have short attention spans, so maybe nobody cares about that anymore. But in my view, I think you could get away with trying to like tease it a bit more. Maybe have 8 more measures of something similar to what you have before this, where you take out the kick drum, and you have some sweeps and stuff, and then you come into this section here. Another thing I noticed is it would be really cool. You have these kind of like horn stabs that are in the background. Where are they? Maybe not in this section. Oh, there it is again. There again. Yeah. I think with this style, my thought would be to try to have the horn stabs more on downbeats. So that's kind of when I think of this style and I hear those kind of horn stabs, it helps a lot to have a reference point in mind for me to give you some critique. So that's what I feel like has worked the best when I've listened to that kind of stuff in the past. Is having those on downbeats. Actually, Nightmare is probably a good example too, right? I mean, I feel like Nightmare still makes some pretty heavy trap, right? Probably more dubstep oriented, but for a moment I was gonna suggest maybe Peekaboo, but I feel like that's a different style, So anyways, so yeah, I think like having those stabs happening on downbeats would be really helpful. And then here's obviously another build. Okay, and then you have the fake out there, which obviously draws a lot of attention to that new synth, which is really cool. And that's layered now with that original other synth I was talking about. It's got doing the same rhythm. I think that, in my opinion, it would almost be cool to maybe not have them go on at the same time. They feel like they're competing with each other a bit. And I feel like it could be beneficial to get rid of that other layer so that you get the do. So that synth obviously is new and fresh, and you're introducing it in that fake out drop, and I think that works. And the other sound, though, I feel like it's just competing a little bit too much in that moment. But yeah, those are some of the like first things that come to my mind when I listen to this. And I really think that if you aren't already doing this, having like a reference track, especially for a style like this, I feel like I can tell really what you're going for, and having a very specific reference track could help with nailing the mix, which is the other thing that we could dive into a little bit deeper, but I think you get the idea. So thanks for sharing. Do you think I can put it on SoundCloud? Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, I think it's worth it with a song like this. Like I said, where I can tell that you're kind of emulating a style that is very it's established, and there are kind of like guidelines to it, right? With a genre like that, it's super helpful to have reference tracks that are kind of like benchmarks for you on a mixing level, on a sound design level, from a listening point of view, et cetera, et cetera. Those things are super helpful. So like if you, for example, listen to your tracks drop side by side to your reference tracks drop, you isolate different frequency ranges. You say like, oh, let's check out the low end. How does my low end sound compared to theirs? Like, I don't know, whatever, everything below like 100 hertz or whatever. And then you take your mids, you do something similar, and you start noticing these things like, whoa, okay, so this is something that's different in their mix compared to mine, and maybe I like how this sound is functioning, how this kick drum is sounding more in their mix when I'm isolating it in this way. And you could do the same for, maybe you already do this, but just throwing it out there. I think having those kind of benchmarks with mixing is a really great way to make sure you're reaching certain standards before uploading something to SoundCloud. But yeah. Anyways, just some food for thought. Let's keep moving. Thanks for sharing that, Ragas. What's up, Galaxy Tones? Hey, I actually have a funny story for you because on Feedback Friday, one of the recent ones where you shared some of your tunes, I showed some of it to my fiance because she's studying massage therapy. And I was like, hey, I think this Galaxy Tones, I'm sorry. Galaxy Tones has some music that feels like it would be up your alley to play when you have your own massage like parlor. And I was showing it to her and she was really enjoying it. But anyways, what you got for us? All right. Finish this one today. Let's check it out. So this is Galaxy Tones Advent. Cinematic vibe going there. Some Fallout vibes here. Looks like the time signature changed there a little bit. We got like a 6/8 feel. Cool. Got a little bit more of a mysterious flavor because of the major going into another major. So you're kind of playing around with some parallel keys here. I like this piano melody. Really nice. It's a great tune. Really cool. I don't really have I know your style. I don't really have feedback for you for a track like this. I think it's very peaceful and It's got like a little bit of just a mysterious flavor in there, kind of like, or like a feeling of like wonder, which is great. And it fits your style a lot. Yeah, I kind of liked that kind of the I don't know if it was a time signature change. I think that's what it was. Or maybe it just sounds like it's more 4/4 in the beginning because you don't really hear percussion yet. So maybe it's not so much of a switch up. But either way, really cool track. It is triplet, yep. Still trying to improve the mix down. Well, let me tell you, it's always going to be things to improve, and you're probably well aware of that. But especially for like your style, you're doing great. I love what you're doing, and one thing that could help potentially. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't really know how this might compare to. I'm not very well versed in like the ambient space and stuff, but I think platforms like Spotify and similar, probably not YouTube, places like that. I don't know about SoundCloud. I don't think SoundCloud does this, but Spotify, for example, I think there is some kind of auto volume adjustment algorithm where it looks at your, I don't know what metrics exactly it looks like LUFS or something like that, and says, oh, this is this much quieter, so we're going to turn this a little bit up compared to what else you were just listening to. I think there's some of that happening on Spotify. I might be wrong, though, so if somebody knows, feel free to correct me. But it'd be interesting to know how your music compares to other songs when it comes to like mastering for volume, because obviously volume isn't probably super important compared to in a space like, I don't know, EDM or something like that, or pop. But I'm curious, maybe there's a lot of variation in ambient music, or maybe that's also being kind of squashed more these days. But I was just thinking, looking at the waveform, you can clearly see some of those transients kind of popping through from the kicks, and it made me wonder. It just made me think about that a little bit. Like, how would you mix and master an ambient song for distribution? I don't know what the standards really are there, if any. But that was something that kind of crossed my mind there. So between -14 and -12. Oh, okay. Interesting. He's got the answer. Cool. Well, thanks for sharing. I like the track a lot. Best to keep the dynamic range high. Yeah, I think for a genre like that, that's pretty much the opposite of EDM, where you want a brick wall, basically. But yeah, let's keep moving. Thanks for that. What's up, Choco Boomer? I think we're going to do 2 more tracks here, y'all. And then we're probably going to call it here. I'm sorry. I do not have much time today. I apologize, but Halo. You do a Halo remix or something? Let's check it out. This is Continual by Dissection. This looks like it could be really loud. Let me turn it down a tiny bit. Okay. Reminds me a little bit of kind of like a subtronic style of dubstep where you have kind of like a more melodic bass line. The bass line is the main melody, basically. Damn, I'm out of water. Coming back. Okay, I like to switch up. I think the sidechain is maybe a little bit too intense here. I like the bells. Okay, cool. So I think that I understand what you're doing here. I like the track. First things first, I think the structure in general makes sense. I like that you have this kind of like little detour in the bridge section here. It's a cool idea. I do think that starting your track in this way is interesting considering what you have in the rest of the song. Kind of like that starting a song with kind of like a distorted sub like that in general is a little bit of a ballsy move because you kind of want to save normally, and I'm not saying that this isn't intentional, but normally I think you'd want to save some of that energy that comes with a sub for like some of the heavier parts of your track. Now you got lots of stuff in the mids making up for that, but yeah, in general, I personally try to stay away from having like a bunch of stuff happening in the sub region right off the bat. It also sounds like there's there are some conflicting frequency ranges here, or conflicting sounds in certain frequency ranges, specifically in your low end, I think. So to me, it sounds like you know, this happens to me a lot when I throw on a Pro L, some kind of really intense limiter on a track, and then all of a sudden these things that were fine before being squashed are competing with each other a lot more, and it can create distortion in ways that wasn't there before. I think that's kind of happening for you right here. So it could be helpful if to just like isolate the low end and listen to what's happening, because like right there, for example, it sounds a little bit like that kind of like tremolo distorted sub is conflicting with that other synth that's starting to build up there, and then here too, it sounds like sounds are kind of competing a bit more than you'd want normally. But anyways, that's kind of like one thought that I have. It's the beginning of the song, so it makes sense to start there. The other thing is, so up until your drop here at 28 seconds, right? I think everything you're doing is very straight. Like the sub is like right? You got the shakers. Everything is very straight. And then kind of suddenly you have a very swung, kind of less quantized, and the rhythm there is a pretty big contrast to what's happening rhythmically before. It would be nice if what's being foreshadowed and like when the tension is being built, you have a little bit more of an idea as a listener to expect that kind of like the bum bum dum da dum dum, kind of like something a little bit more swung or sloppy or slightly less grid focused, if that makes sense. That's one thought I had. And given I don't listen to a lot of dubstep these days, so I'm just kind of throwing some stuff out there that came to mind. This section is really cool. So I think that actually, in a way, like that sidechain being that intense is pretty cool. I like it. But it does get a little confusing once the kick drum starts triggering it like more often, by just happening more often. And it's a bit easier to kind of control the vibe of the track when the sidechaining is mostly happening on kind of like 1 and 3. But once it kind of starts switching it up, it gets a little bit more confusing to feel the rhythm of this little like detour section of the track. So that was one thought that I had. The other thought was that it would be really cool to hear a little more rhythmic exploration here, in a way that doesn't trigger the sidechain and is maybe like not super heavy. So like, you know, that kick drum, it's quite intense, and that's okay. But it'd be nice to have some like I don't know, I'm always hearing like something kind of garagey happening here, like I don't know, just like some other stuff in here would be kind of cool to have, because I see that you're obviously creating a vibe switch, going into a different kind of a space here, exploring a little bit, and I think you could totally get away with doing stuff like that in this section. But yeah, that's pretty much what I got for you. I started in Mandarin last year. I went to finish up. I want that. Cool. Well, yeah, for sure. I hope that helped a little bit. Thanks for sharing, Choco Boomer. Let's roll on to the last track of today. I'm sorry if we didn't get to you today, but really appreciate it. Appreciate y'all hanging out. What's up, Eidolon? Feels fitting to end the stream with an Eidolon track. I feel like anytime you've been here in Feedback Fridays, we've ended up listening to your stuff, right? It's a pretty good record. Always last. I know, it's weird. Let's check this out. I don't know if this means I'm blessed or cursed. I think we're all a little bit of both. This is Distance by Eidolon. Color-based sound design. Cool. Chiptune interlude here. Cool. I feel like pretty much all of your music, I see a nice balance between melodic, harmonic stuff, and pretty heavy drops. Cool, really great, great track. Whoa. I wasn't expecting that. All right. To me, I think my favorite part of the song is this section here. Nice drums, and I like that kind of that very like yeah, staccato type melody thing, repetitive staccato. It's cool. I think that oh, I guess it's here too. So in this section, it's kind of like that same motif, but just explored with that chord progression instead of just on the tonic. I see. Okay, cool. Interesting. interesting. Yeah, I'm thinking about the structure of this because so your intro chord progression is like the G major, E minor, B minor, D major. Makes me wonder whether like it would have been cool to have this as your first drop instead of the one that's more centered around the B minor. And then this could have almost been like a post drop like variation section or something. But to me this just feels a little bit more like it's yeah, it feels like the focal point to me of the track. So that's why I'm thinking that this could have been a really cool first drop, instead of the one that's based around that B minor. No Vocaloid on this one, huh? I know you're a fan of the Vocaloid. I think other than that, I don't really have too much else that comes to mind. I like a lot of the kind of fills where you have the whether it's like through granular synthesis or however else you're doing it with like the, maybe it's like an LFO slowing down in speed, starting really high, it's slowing down. There's a bunch of fills like that throughout the track, which are maybe right like that. And yeah, really cool. Lots of cool sound design, great drums, and really dope track. In my ears, the whole thing is B minor and G major is the sixth. Yeah, totally. Which if you were to analyze it from like in a classical sense, then yeah, you are exactly right. That's why the last 4 bars of the first drop use the chord progression. Yeah, I could see that. I think that I completely overused that snare. Wait, that's a Haywyre snare? What the? I didn't realize that. What? It sounds good in there. I'm surprised. But dope. Well, sorry to be calling it here, y'all. I know that we still have some people that have joined, but I got to call it here, unfortunately. But I really appreciate y'all hanging out, and I'll be back next Friday again for more Feedback Fridays, and hopefully next Friday I can chill a little bit longer. This was a 1.5 hour listening session, so not particularly long, but I still really enjoyed hearing what y'all got. And yeah, hope you guys take care, and I'll be back on Sunday for a regular music production stream. But yeah, got so many talented people out there. I just love hearing what people are working on. Absolutely. But yeah. All right. Thanks, gang. Be back on Sunday. Okay. See you later.